offsets of any word of 3 letters ever. Curious, awesomely, if you're good in Hebrew gematria, B plus E plus A equals the word love in Hebrew. Ahav. Okay? Like in order. If you're good with Hebrew gematria, you will recognize that this is love in Hebrew. An A, aleph, plus an E, 5, plus a B, bet. Okay? That's exactly the numbers of the word love in Hebrew. Read in this direction, from right to left in Hebrew, but in order. Ahav is how you say it in Hebrew. So there's something very special, like when you know that it's all about love, and love in Hebrew equals BEA in English, how much does God love beauty? Like, it's just like, whoa, like how would love happen if it wasn't for beauty? That's why people go to the gym. That's why they take care of their opinions. They know they want to present beauty to their mate. It's just, wow, this is a kingdom we live in, folks. This is a kingdom with princes and princesses. This is a kingdom. I'm like, but you need to know who your king is, otherwise you're owned by the devil and you're living this like rebel, like rogue rat life. Time to get saved. Okay, so B equals love. I have an aunt, Aunt B, good old Aunt B, and she is a finely intelligent woman. She's really smart. She always knows a lot. She's always like she always knows the news and the weather, and she's always analyzing, and she's in air traffic. Okay, but there you go. Love in Hebrew. That's huge. So now you're really paying attention to Beauty and the Beast, but now it points to Christ. Okay, so there you go. The E from the C offset by 3 to ST, and 3, 3, 3, and then we already did the Beauty to Christ comparison. So we're just singing our heads off. But I love how B at the front is 3 points different. B equals the H right here. You know, and then it's surrounded by letters divided by 3, and everything's just tickety-boo. Okay. So, done. B-E-A, beautiful. That was highly satisfying. Beauty. And then you can push it higher, saying, how do you create beauty? Well, you beautify. Then you're just adding more plus 3s to the party that already exists. So beautify equals Christ plus 15. Or plus 12, pardon me. Cool. And then you can just keep going higher and higher and higher and higher. Okay. Alright, so that was cool. We saw beauty for Christ. How did we get on that? Oh yeah, we were solving facial. And we talked about someone getting a facial for the beauty. That was fun. Wow, it's pretty awesome. But it's okay. And so I feel good about this. You can knit together. I am absolutely confident that if you take time to knit together all of these terms, you will get some gorgeous 3s coming at you, because Christ is the creator of the entire body and all the words. I mean, if you want to get big points, nasal, lacrimal, inferior, nasal, concha, maxilla, mandible, and vomer. Now I would like to note, and then zygomatic. What will be interesting to me, and palatine. What will be interesting to me is the ones that are plural and the ones that are not. Oh man, each one has their own. Oh, I just like going to the center. The vomer. Okay, I think I'm starting to come to the end here. I think we did a pretty good job on that. I'll just do a little rapid fire here. Nasal, Jesus. Lacrimal equals Jehovah, 3s. Inferior nasal concha, Christ, +2. Maxilla, 3s, 3 higher than lacrimal, Jehovah. The maxilla and the lacrimal, look, they're very close to each other. In fact, they're connected. So this one's Jehovah and this one's Jehovah +3. That was satisfying. See that? So I would actually put these next to each other. Find love in this. Lacrimal equals Jehovah, 69. Maxilla equals 72, 3 points higher. Lacrimal is so, oh my goodness, look at love in lacrimal. Wow, 227s. All the letters that divide by 3 equal love +15. Good night. So that is a huge revelation. See that? Everyone has their own beauty, and that's why you got to take the time. It's just patience, folks. How do you arrive at 15? Well, 13 + 1 + 1. 15. This is Jehovah glorified bar none. Because remember, Jehovah is 15 wrapped in love. Okay, and yes, you can get the pair of 27s in Jehovah to make a love. VE 27, the rest is 27. In fact, you can get 9 in lacrimal and Jehovah. Look at this. You can get 9, 18, 27 for your love. And here, 9, 18, 27 for your love. And then your O is 15 in gold. So Jehovah, lacrimal. That's like right between your eyes. You know, the Bible talks about having the Word of God and like the consciousness of God. Okay, so lacrimal, Jehovah, and then, you know, these big guys, the maxilla is just 3 points higher. So more Trinity coming at you. And let's poke around just a wee bit. There's your Amen. 45, 50, you can get Word. You can get a lovely half-love. That is irresistible. And notice the obvious. The only letters that do not divide by 3 in both of these words are identical. MAA. The great 15. I mean, 15 is king for 3. And the rest all divide by 3. This is the sovereignty of God. And then the obvious thing is to tack an L onto that squadron, and then you have your half a love perfectly. And then this adds the more 9s to the party, and it's all a giant hoopla for the Trinity. Okay, that was awesome. Very obvious correlation between lacrimal and maxilla. The lacrimal right snugged in there. The maxilla just staring you in the face. This guy's name is Fred, by the way. Staring you in the face. Fred, and then let's keep going, okay? Every one of these has their own special beauty. This is not going to take that long. Nasal. Nasal is Jesus flawlessly. The famous 47 offset, remember Jesus is 74. Remember how we saw this just right up here? Beauty and the Beast. Beauty 74, Beast 47. Nasal 47, Jesus 74. Put Jesus on top. Beauty comes first. It's Beauty and the Beast. Jesus and the nasal passage. But and letter for letter. Letter for letter. The correlation is absolute. I'm enjoying just talking. I enjoy talking because English is the glory of God, and so that's why I can't stop preaching this gematria, and it's pure pleasure to do so and just get creative with your mouth. So I actually used a 27-point font to make that space of an offset 27 here. I'm not joking. Okay, so Jesus. I love preaching the sovereignty of God. So that space that I injected right there to make it line up perfectly the offset of 27 required me to peg a lovely 27 perfect pixel font. Flawless. Okay, so back to our story. So Jesus, the word nasal screams out Jesus. Lacrimal, Jehovah. Good night. So, oh my, shoot for 9s on this one. This is going to make you cry for joy. Look at this. I know you're tempted to put an S with an S, but don't do that, young children. Well, you can do that, and that's pretty cool. Actually, this is amazing. If you put an S with an S, that's 0. If you put an S with an A, that's 18. and then you put a J with an A, that's 9. So in those three teams of the 3 plus 1s per word, you've literally gone 0, 9, 18, and there's your complete offset. This is amazing. And then an N differs from an E by precisely, everybody say precisely, 9 points in the downwards direction. And then it reverses with the U and the L. So all things nasal, that is amazing. So gold, down 9, and that, you know, it increases 9 in that direction. UL, it goes down 9. So 9, 9, cancellation. An S equals an S. Like, why don't we just go that route? Because an S is at the dead center of both. This is phenomenal. Phenomenal glory between Jesus and nasal. Burp divides by 3. And so J and A, you go down 9, and then S, I'm going to stay in red because this is going to make the ultimate offset of Jesus gaining plus 27, the half love, over nasal in flawless symmetry. I could paint this team gold as a separate painting. Team gold cancels, team red forms the plus 27, but it was all 9s every step of the way between Jesus and nasal in perfect interlock. So I'm breathing right now. I have a bit of a congestion, just Jesus nasal, Jesus nasal. That is just plain riveting. So I cannot resist. A J to an A was plus 9. An E to an A was minus 9. An S to an S was 0. And then a U to an L was minus 9. And an S to an A was minus 18. And there is our final offset of whatever. I did Jesus on top going down. Oh wait, plus 9, minus 9, S and S, and then a U to an L. I should have said plus 9. Excuse me. These are pluses. And this is plus 18. So that yields our grand total of plus 27. But I just had to go letter for letter between JESUS to the corresponding offsets to make these gorgeous teams of 9. Plus 9, minus 9, 0, plus 9, plus 18, for a grand total of plus 27, half a love done. Jesus owns your nasal cavity, and your nasal nasals, and your nasal boogers, and your nasal bones. So now you can inject the word bone to this fine feast, and it just maintains the offset of 3s because bone divides by 3. In fact, bone divides by 9. Isn't that obvious? The offset, we just screamed out 9s. Like we just screamed out 9s. Like nobody could scream out 9s in the history of Nineville. So now Jesus owns your nasal bone. Like if I touch myself on the nose, I'm hitting nasal bone. Thank God. If I didn't have this nasal bone here, the rain would be falling into my nostrils. But I have a nasal bone to provide a roof for me nostrils. So, bone divides by 9 being 36. Well, is it just me? I preached on the 9s enough. In fact, it's 9 points higher. So now you just jack yourself through the roof because nasal bone is going to be a full and complete 9 points higher than JESUS in total. That is gorgeous. So first, Jesus was higher from nasal by 27,999. Bone came along and joined Team Nasal, and now they're higher than Jesus by 9. It's all 9s, all points to Jesus. So you can get really creative now and like add these Scrabble tiles and just start going nuts. Now, by the way, I talk about Scrabble parallels Christ, and so does tiles. So when you say Scrabble tiles, you're literally saying Christ, Christ. Okay, because tiles, here's your 2 plus 2s, here's your 1 plus 1, and everything else is history. Tiles is 12 points less than Christ. Scrabble, look at this is going to blow your mind. Scrabble equals 65. Well, tiles equals 3 points off. Hello. But it all references Christ. Christ is the kingpin parallels Christ. Christ is the center stone, like the apex, the center point. Oh yeah. That's good verbiage. Center point. That's -12 and -3 from Christ. And I believe, yeah, the word decimal. Decimal equals 47 equals nasal. That is a huge, this is huge. What is at the center of your face? It's the nasal bone. Okay, your nose. Your nose parallels Christ, N-O-S-E. That's confirmed by nasal. Take a quick whiff, kids. Take a quick peek at the correspondence between nose and nasal mathematically. Well, it's pretty darn simple. An N and an S equivalent to make 33. An O differs from an L by 3, and an E differs from a double A by 3. Done. Your nose belongs to Christ. Your nasal belongs to Jesus. They differ by 6. And you got the +3 from the O to the L, and your +3 from the E to the A to the A. So we are at the center of you. Front and center, your nose. The mechanism by which you breathe. At night, when your eyes are shut and not functioning, your nose works non-stop. Like your nose never stops working. Thank God for me nose. Okay, so Scrabble tiles. So that was an obvious find. But I was now meditating on the center point. Christ is the center point. Well, what is it called? It's called the decimal point. Like when you've got, decimal equals nasal, famous 47. And then this is so cool. Now, when you put decimal next to point, you just get, by the way, a pint parallels Jesus. But decimal is our famous 47, and point is our famous 74. Could a man ask for more for the Christ? Decimal point, the center point. Okay, and decimal is flawless for Jesus because it's got 3 + 1s and 1 + 2 right there. And point is flawless for Christ because it has 2 + 2s and 1 + 1, just like in the word tiles. So decimal point, you're literally saying Jesus Christ. Well, the decimal point is like at the center of like a number, like pi or whatever. Okay, so this is huge. So nasal bone, therefore, is a grand 9 points higher than JES. And disturbingly, then it actually corresponds with Christ nicely because you have more +2s now than +1s. That's so cool. So now you can compare the letters nasal bone, of which there are 9, to the 6 letters of Christ. Like, I'm just showing you how it amazingly goes back and forth. Like, nasal was Jesus verbatim, but then you add these 3 + 2s to the Scrabble board. And now, look what you've done. Now you've got 4 + 2s versus the 3 + 1s. Well, that corresponds to the 2 + 2s in Christ versus its 1 + 1. And then this RI in Christ equals half a love, and that's nicely fleshed out with the LO, the first 2 letters of love, in a nasal bone. Now you're getting goosebumps. From a nasal, you were at Jesus, and a nasal bone, now you're at Christ. You're just like, what else does he own? Everything. Okay. So let's complete the puzzle. An S is an S. Let's be a little lazy here. You could also say an S equals an NE, but an S equals an S. Last time I checked. Let's bolden these guys. Now I need to be careful here because now I'm losing. Oh boy. Let's just. I'll use the bold underline to reference the fact that I have accounted for letters. An S is an S. Yeah, okay, and then that equals that. And then an H to an N. The overall offset is 6. So an H to an N, goes -6. And then an A to a B. An A and a B equals a C. Let's just bump that off. And then a T, and then an A plus an N on the bottom is another -6 on this half. And then from a T to an N, I missed something, is another There's a lot of obvious 6s. I'm just working quickly. So an H down to an N, that was minus 6. A T down to an N, that's minus 6. And then Ri equals Lo, and S equals an S. Now I'm losing track of things. It's pretty fun, but let's just, okay, an H down to an N. An H, okay, so if it goes down, that's minus 6. Ri equals Lo. And what's cool about that, like, let's mention all the 6s. So H down to an N, minus 6. R down to an L, minus 6. I down to, oh wait, R, oh okay, that's what I'm doing wrong. Let's make Christ minus 6. So H minus N, minus 6. R minus L, positive 6. I minus O, negative 6. T minus N, positive 6. Wow, this is awesome. S equals S, 0. And then I'm just going to be awesome here and go A plus E on the nasal bone side. So 0 minus AE is another minus 6. And then lo and behold, an A plus a B equals a C, and you get another 0 equivalence. Isn't that gorgeous? Wow, so we just proved that Christ owns your nasal bone. And look at those 6s. Plus 6, minus 6, minus 6, minus 6 for the grand offset of minus 6. But it's the letter by letter brilliance of that. They're just like, oh my, wow. Okay, to our satisfaction, we solved your nasal bone, which is at the center of you. Okay, lacrimal, Jehovah, maxilla 3 higher. Let's just go palatine. We are in the house. Palatine divides by 3, just like maxilla and lacrimal. So oh, say no more. I smell the glory on this one. Okay, let me at it. Palatine. I smell the glory. So how does this stack up? Palatine. Isn't that like a famous emperor or something? Palpatine? Okay, so let's state the obvious compared to what we've seen thus far. A 3 plus 1 fest that is almost identical to maxilla and lacrimal. AA plus a P is 3 points higher than N. Very obvious. Now you've just injected 3 letters that divide by 3, which is phenomenal because that did not exist at all in maxilla or lacrimal, and then you have your letters that divide by 3 left over. Lots of LIs, eh? LI, LI, LI. Lacrimal, maxilla, palatine. So, what's the grand total? 78. Wow, we just keep going up in 3s, don't we? I can't resist adding these 3 bones together now. Lacrimal, maxilla. Let's just allow this to come through here. So that those 2 was 141, and 15 letters, 36 strokes. Gorgeous 3s. There's lots of patterns in there for 3s too. And then let's get the 3 clustered together. Bang! Now you're up to 3 times the 21st prime. That is stunning. And then now always check what happens when you add the word bone, because it'll continue to divide by 3. And that's like 114. You know, maxilla bone, lacrimal bone. Okay, so 105. This is stunning. Like these are really nice numbers. So what is this trio then? Bang! 327. 300 plus 3 times 3 times 3. We just, that was an awesome Trinity glorifying cluster bomb. Okay, so now you have the vomer and the inferior nasal concha. How much you want to bet? In fact, I already know the answer. That your inferior nasal concha, adds to vomer to divide by 3 very tidily. I already know it does. So let's get this on the table. This one parallels Christ. Now, that is a Scrabble tile set worthy of a mathematician, because that is an intense set of letters. But let's do the obvious and knit these 2 together. There's your multiple of 3 in exactly 24 letters, 57 strokes. Everything divides by 3. I kid you not. According to the computer, you can slice those letters perfectly in half to yield 2 equal teams that divide by 3 equaling Holy Ghost. So slice it in half, dead half. 12 letters on the left and 12 letters on the right, you get Holy Ghost, Holy Ghost. We've just solved, to our satisfaction, the inferior nasal concha plus the vomer. And then add all these other words in there. And your 3s are just going higher and higher and higher. Now we added bone in there. We're already up to 585 points. I could just remove bone for now and just keep jacking this thing up. 477, I could put bone back in there and yada, yada, yada. What the heck, doesn't take long. It's like, we're just bigger and bigger points here. There, we're up to 3 times 3 times the 21st prime, 657. Big points for 3s. Okay. So the vomer is in the house. And the inferior nasal concha. I mean, if you walk anywhere and you pull this verbiage out, you are instantly an intellectual. Okay, an inferior oh my goodness, intellectual. Man, I just love getting words out of my own mouth. Intellectual, obvious for Christ. Oh, that's a gorgeous set of letters. A gorgeous set of letters for Christ. Intellectual. That is so gorgeous. It's 34 plus 23. It's 57 higher, but okay, let's leave that for now. Let's the inferior nasal concha. So this is how this glorifies Christ. Grab your plus 2s. They are the majority. That is how you know it's Christ. And then there's your plus 1s. Done. See that? So you have 4 plus 1s and you have 5 plus 2s. That perfectly matches. In fact, you just added 3 from each category onto the phenomenon in Christ. Now, how many letters divide by 3? Oh my. 3 plus 3 plus 3. We have 10 letters that divide by 3 in the inferior nasal concha. Now, and nasal was Jesus, so you get this bonus like Jesus effect in there. Concha is Christ de facto. Inferior is just in there to serve the rest of this glory. So nasal is Jesus. Concha is Christ. Flawless. And they differ by 3 points. Nasal is 47. Concha is 44. And look, 3 plus 1s, 1 plus 2, 1, 3. That's Jesus. This is flawless. The nasal concha. The nasal concha. That's like your Boogerville. That is like where you pick from. That is where you mine nuggets. The inferior nasal concha. You know, if you didn't have those there, what would happen? You'd probably mine your brain if you weren't careful. Okay, I'm just kidding. So the inferior nasal concha. So the concha is Christ, and the nasal is Jesus. I am in love with the inferior. I would say it's very superior. Now, what's really cool about the word superior and the word inferior is that they're both parallel. They're both plus 1s. So, you know, if I was to say the superior nasal concha, like they are not just inferior. No, they are superior nasal concha. It'll make a gorgeous offset. Very obvious. In fact, this is glaring. This is a revelation regarding that which is inferior and that which is superior. Do you see how much theology you get just from like studying anatomy? In the universe and in the hierarchies of God, there are inferior, like subordinates, and there are masters, employers and employees. You have the inferior and the superior. Well, look at the glory of the Trinity. An N plus an E equals an S. And then a P plus an E supplies the remaining 21 combination, and then the rest of the letters all divide by 3. So the inferior is actually parallel to the superior, okay? And so 6 plus, and the difference is awesome. The difference is superior equals inferior plus 27, the famous 3 times 3 times 3. Good night. So back to the nasal concha. The superior nasal concha that you need to function in this battle. This is your face mask. As you go out into the elements, you need those nasal concha. Okay, so nasal is Jesus. Concha is Christ. And this is like, I'm going to say this painting. I'm so proud of what we've achieved so far. Look at this now. I cannot resist really squeezing this one and just talking. So nasal is flawless for Jesus. You know, let's put Jesus on top of nasal. Always put Jesus on top as the superior, the creator. So if I was to paint the letters of Jesus, the 3 plus 1s, okay, I am doing this because this is the first time anyone has ever done this, and we're doing this properly. 3 plus 1's, 1 plus 2, and here's your singular letter that divides by 3. Jesus, nasal. They differ by 27. And then concha differs from Christ by 33. So there's Jesus, nasal, flawless. And like I said, you can just reorder these tiles to make it, you know, just reorder them any way you want. To highlight the flawless. If I had a monotype font, that would be ultra cool. But there, I've just reordered them, you know, so that they're in offsets of the 3's and the identical nature of them. And then concha is Christ, flawless. I've already said it. It's already there. Let's just do what we did in Jesus. Put your plus 2's in bold like that. Bang, bang. Your plus 1's in gold like that. Gold and bold. And then the rest of the letters divide by 3 in this blue here. Very obvious. So Jesus, Christ, nasal, concha. And then bone divides by 3. And so, good night. So, inferior nasal concha overall parallels Christ. And then you can make it multiple of 3. You can just keep adding by doing bones. And that, wow. So that adds brilliantly to the very famous 240 bang on the nose. And there's lots of, in 24 letters, no less. Okay, but nasal concha was just Jesus Christ. Okay, so we killed that one. And then we did the vomer. And we clustered them all together. And we hit that out of the park. And then frontal. Oh yeah, sometimes it's called the frontal lobe, which divides by 3. And then mandible we solved already. That was mandible divided by 3 as well. So if you know you wanted to just stack all these things together. Oh, zygomatic we haven't done. Zygomatic I have not analyzed. Zygomatic, anything in 9 letters, 21 strokes. It parallels Christ. Highlight your plus 2 so you can get a flavor. Technically, zygomatic is more plus 1s, so it would point to Jesus. Zygomatic. The offset is 26 plus 19. Yeah, the offset of Jesus is 45. The offset of Christ is 42. It's pretty tempting to go either way. But that's fine. I would leave it as is. And zygomatic bone as bone is a multiple of 9, so zygomatic bone will then be a multiple of 9 higher than Jesus. But again, what's so amazing to me? Yeah, so zygomatic, like the word nasal. In fact, this is identical to the design of nasal. Look at, and they're very near to each other. You know, obviously there's a pair of zygomatics, but look at this. Oh, this is also referred to as a cheekbone. Well, cheek parallels Christ. So there's more flavor for you. Plus 2. Okay, so the offset is there. And cheek is pure plus 2s, like bone is pure plus 2. It differs from Christ by minus 9. But, so what's so amazing to me is zygomatic parallels nasal bone. In that, remember nasal? Nasal had the 3 plus 1s, the singular plus 2, and then the rest divided by 3. That's the same phenomenon as zygomatic. You've just added 1 to each category. But what's so amazing to me and beautiful, so you've got 2 versus 4 to parallel Jesus. Now when you add the word bone to your Scrabble tiles, now you've added 3 plus 2s, which now means you have 5 plus 2s versus the 4 plus 1s. Now you are in Christ land, where the phenomenon, you just went from Jesus to Christ. Okay? Because I've said enough. I have said enough. So now you can do a comparison between zygomatic bone and Christ and just be like, oh my, like look at all this. 55 plus 30, I mean the difference is 55 plus 23 is 78. So, and then that is confirmed by cheekbone.